right. How about another Bilge podcast with a very special guest, Mr. Pat Schlapper, a Bass Nation champion, 4-year Elite Series angler.
Yep.
And a career camper. We're here at Lake Champlain right now with 2 events to go, and you're camping like 6 sites down from us.
Yep, right across the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Wisconsin? You're from Wisconsin?
Yep, born and raised in Wisconsin. Grew up in a small town, northern Wisconsin, like in the heart of Smalley country. White-tailed deer, grouse, ducks, like paradise where I grew up.
By the way, I just creeped your Instagram here just a little bit ago. Tell me about Sully.
So Sully is our, he's a year and 2-month-old black lab. Like I've always had labs.
Yep.
And we had a really special lab, our last one. And we actually had to put him down last March.
How long did he last?
He was 15 and a half.
Ooh, wow.
And we kind of weren't going to get one. And then this guy, randomly working at Shields, I met a customer and started talking, and he happened to be delivering some puppies to another area of the state. And then I started asking about them, and he had one male left, and it was a black lab, and it was a pointing lab. And then I'm like,
checking all the boxes. Yep, perfect.
Because I've always duck hunted, and I've always wanted to, I would like to have a pointing lab. And they're not really known for it, but there are some lines that will do it. So I'm like,
so with a pointing lab is they'll actually put
they'll
the
lock up,
really?
Like a setter or a spaniel,
instead of like a sitting and waiting to retrieve.
So what'll happen? So you can, like duck hunting, you're sitting there in a blind or whatever, the dog's sitting next to you, you shoot a bird, you send them out.
Yeah.
It's more water retrieval type stuff.
Right.
Whereas in grouse hunting and pheasant hunting, there's going to be pointing dogs and flushing dogs, where labs are typically flushers. Well, you'll just train them to quarter through the brush or the CRP, and they just kick the bird up. You shoot it, they go get it.
Right.
Whereas a pointer, they'll be working the field, and a lot of times people will run bells or they'll run beepers, so you can
those
track
are like
where
your GSPs, those are like your Vizslas, and the pointers.
Yep, and then they'll lock up. Like when you see those, they'll lock up. Their tails will be straight, and they're marking the bird, and then you walk up and flush the bird and shoot it.
So would you say the pointers are more disciplined?
Well, it's just a different style of dog.
Yeah.
Like it's just a different deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd be like you throwing a swim bait and me throwing a chatterbait, and we're catching the same fit. Like the same thing is happening. It's just different approaches.
Yeah. Very cool.
So, and it's typically 2 different. You've got like your pointer people, where they're just like pointers are the best, and then you've got your lab people and flusher where they're the best. So.
Kind of like swim baiters and chatterbaiters.
Exactly. Or, live scope and non-live scope, it's the same type of thing. But that when that came up, my wife was out of town, and I called her. I actually told the guy, I said, when you go deliver the other dogs, call me and just come to the house. I was just going to buy it. But I'm like, I better talk to Brittany. And she wasn't sure because she was so attached to Gunner, the other dog. And we actually went to St. Clair and practiced for a week, kind of on a vacation. We talked about it the whole time, went back, picked him up. And
that's awesome.
He's a good dog, and he's been working with him a lot. And I actually have a kennel in Wisconsin, Aspen Creek Kennels, that sponsored me.
Yep.
He's like, I'll train him for free.
That's awesome.
So he was there for 3.5 months.
That's a lot of training, dude.
It is. And I'm still doing a lot of it myself.
Of course.
Because I like it.
You have to. It's your dog.
Every day you work with him, but he's just got a lot of personality. He's a really good dog.
With our Belgian Malinois, we did just a couple weeks of training, but what I've learned in dog training, just so you guys know, whether it's a lab, Malinois, whatever, poodle, whatever, it's like really the dog trainer trains the owner to train the dog. Like that's what it is. It's like your responsibility as the dog owner.
Yeah, you can't just stop.
Yeah.
You can't just go there, pick them up, and unless you're one of those people, like some people will do that and then they'll bring them back all the time. Sure. Like I don't want to do that. Like
and fork out the dough.
Just keep paying it. And I've always done it myself. I've trained 3 labs in my life. And so I enjoy doing it, but doing this, I mean, I'm gone for a month, dude. 2 months at a time. And you got to be, you don't want to miss many days, especially when they're this young. So he's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we needed him in our house. I mean, it's just my wife and I. We don't have kids.
Dude, I love this Wisconsin accent, man. I absolutely love it. You guys are known for smallmouth, cheese, beer,
Spotted cow, yeah.
spotted cat, yeah,
Bratwurst.
brats, yeah, absolutely. That's
Like,
awesome.
good stuff.
Yeah.
So 4 years on tour. Where does that bring us back? So 2020.
2020, I qualified. I won the Bash Nation on Pickwick, and I also qualified.
Was that at the end of 19?
It would have no. My
20.
first year was 21.
21.
Year that
Okay.
was the year the Classic was on Ray
Yeah.
Roberts, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I won on Pickwick, the Nation Championship, but I also qualified through the Opens the same year.
Wow.
Yeah, so I
Double qualifier.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
that was my first year in the Opens. It was the first Nation Championship I ever tried to get to. Like I won the state tournament to get to the regional tournament. Then I won the regional tournament by a lot, and then I really won the national championship by a lot. And
so that all happens in the fall, right? And you're given 2 months to get all your shit together and hit the tour the next following season.
But that was COVID year too. So basically what happened, I had worked for Shield. I don't really work for them anymore other than they're my title sponsor, but I had worked for them since 2004.
Okay.
That was my career, right? And then 2019, I decided I want to try to do it.
Yeah.
And so I quit 2020. Well, then they had the first Open was on Kissimmee Chain. I did pretty good. Well, then the COVID Magic Show happened.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff got really drug out, and we didn't have another tournament until I think the next one was Cherokee. It was Cherokee, Hartwell, Kissimmee, and then Lay Lake. And I had qualified for the Nation Championship. Well, then I ended up winning that. So I'm I'm not going to go because that was in November. Well, then you got to have your crap together to start the next season. So I'm I'm not going to do it. So I'm not going to do the Lay Lake tournament.
Yeah.
So I called Chris Bowes and he wouldn't give me my whole entry fee back.
Oh,
because,
no.
they keep the deposit
Of course,
which I
yeah.
understand. But I'm
Yeah.
I'm not giving up $1,000. I'm going to go. And then I did good there too.
Wow.
So I double qualified. I think I got third in points.
It's such a blitz, isn't it? Even our season concludes just in a couple weeks here. We get Lake Champlain this week, St. Lawrence River next week. Our season's done. Here we are, August 20th or so. And even then, it's a blitz to get everything lined up for the following season.
People don't realize it because you're okay, I got to try to sell this boat.
Yep.
And now I can get a new boat. Well, I got to try to get everything for the boat.
Yep.
And then I got to rig it.
Yeah.
And then I want to try to run it a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, then all of a sudden, when you're trying to call and get reservations for campgrounds, you're just talking to sponsors,
all of it,
all that stuff. And then before you know it, boom, you're on the road.
Making the first cast.
Yeah. And I go early, I'm usually partially because I just want to get out of Wisconsin. I want to be down south. And I like
February,
I like fishing down. I fish a lot of different places just because I want to go down there and if I'm going to come down and pre-practice, I'm not turning around and driving 20 hours home in the winter with a camper and a boat.
No.
So I usually that first stretch, I'm usually gone, over 2 months. But I'll do stuff for Shields too because we have our training university. So I'll go help with that. Last year I went to the Skeeter, factory.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm gone for 2 months.
Yeah.
It's just.
What's your wife say about that?
Though there's a couple of them long stretches are tough.
Yeah.
It helps with Sully, having the dog around where she's not by herself all the time, but it gets tough at times.
Right.
For both of us. It's and I'm in that little camper by myself. I talk to people sometimes, but
still you're alone.
it's not I'm sitting down and watching TV with my wife at night, for 2 months. So it's tough, but she gets it. She knew what I was getting into. I asked her before I decided. I didn't just do it. We weren't married at the time, but I told her what I wanted to do, and she told me to do it. So
awesome.
It's not like it's a surprise.
Right.
But there are times where it's difficult, especially if you're having a rough stretch. I had a rough stretch this year. I missed 3 cuts, had the Classic. I didn't do well either. And, that's really hard when you're on the road by yourself.
That was immediately following Toledo Bend, where you had an awesome tournament.
Well, yeah, I had a great event there, which
you didn't lose. You didn't lose that one, by the way.
I didn't. I've
been
beat.
there. Trust me, I've been there.
I got
there 3
beat.
times.
I got beat, but it was one of those deals where to be in that position. I mean, to go into the last day with a 6-pound lead, and
Yeah.
like that, I thought,
Ever.
But I didn't get the bite. It's not like I
Yeah.
hooked, and the way he caught him, I had to catch 23 pounds.
Right.
It's not like I had to catch
Right.
18,
Right.
and I caught 16 something. So he had to catch 22 pounds to beat me.
Yeah.
Not like I gave it to him.
Right.
But with that event, back to back, we got fork. Well, so after all that, I mean, the weigh-in was awesome at Toledo Bend. The people, it was the coolest weigh-in I've ever been to, because there was so
They
many
know how to
people.
do it. Yeah.
It was awesome. But then, like, you weigh in, you get beat, so you kind of got the walk of shame.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm walking,
Been
my
there.
wife, my best friend, few of my friends
Came down.
came down. And so by the time I get the camper loaded up, I pull in at fork at 1 a.m, get set up, just lost that big turn, just kind of, I wouldn't say choke, but didn't go how I wanted it to go.
Yeah.
And then I got to go get set up and get up in the morning and do it again. And I had actually a good day, one at fork. And then the second day it was, and after that, it was just downhill. Like I could not, it just didn't go my way.
Yeah.
Like I was.
Been there, dude.
I know.
It's fishing.
It is. It's
Sucks.
fishing, and like I'm really hard on myself, but you see it happen to really good anglers that it happens. You do this long enough,
Oh, yeah.
you're going to get in a funk.
Yeah.
And I did, but then I got out of it, and now I've been fishing okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, actually, before we hopped on the podcast, you were out there talking to Swindle. Swindle's in a little funk right now. I mean, he's one of the top 3 anglers in the world, and I mean, he can't make a cut right now. And it's like when you're in that zone, dude, it is so hard to fish your way out of. But I mean, it's just time thing. You just got to let time pass, and you'll get back in.
And I feel like this year, after that bat, and I've become fairly good friends with Justin Atkins, and he kind of not like snapped at me, but he's like, dude, you got to stop being so negative and hard on yourself. Like you're going to catch them again. Like you you can't be like that. And like when he said that to me, I'm just like, yeah, you're right. Like I've done pretty decent the years I've fished. I've made 3 classics, hopefully make it this year. Like I've done well, and it's not, I had 3 bad tournaments.
You're too good of an angler and consistent for it to be a forever thing, It's kind of like golfers, too. They get off just a little bit, and you just got to, like you said, the ship will come back around, but for whatever reason, you got to ride it out.
You got to try to keep going.
So my opinion on that is, like, I've been doing this 13 years now. It's like I've caught them when I've been in those negative states, like this sucks, that sucks, everything sucks. Top 10. Okay. I've also caught him when I'm in David Goggins mode, when it's just like, positive, top 10. But there's nothing like when you just get in that cruise control, and when you launch your boat, you're so confident, like, I'm going to catch him that day. Like, that is the best ever. Like, it's the confidence thing. And whether you have a positive thought in your mind going into that day or a negative thought in your mind, as long as that day is executed, like, that is the best ever.
Yeah. And you get in them zones.
Yeah.
And when you get in them zones, it's awesome, and you feel like you're gonna be
it's
in
like
it.
easy.
You're like,
it's like easy.
How I'm gonna,
but not a cocky thing.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm so confident today that I'm gonna catch them. You just like
it's
roll
tournament
with
after
it. It's
tournament.
crazy.
yeah, and then you like look at some
Golfers the
how
same
did
way.
he only catch 2 fish?
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden on Lake Fork,
Yeah.
where it was the biggest smash fest I've ever been involved with, on a lake that I mean, I've spent a ton of time on that lake. I love it. I had literally had 3 keeper bites all day. Caught them all. That was it. That was all I had. And I guarantee you, these people that like, how the hell did he only have 3 fish?
Yeah.
And then that puts like, well, that's the other side of it.
Yeah.
And that's what we deal with. And that's what, a lot of people on the outside, a lot of the commenters, I'll call them, they don't understand that.
Yeah.
What we go through, and I didn't until I got here. Like, it's a whole nother world once you're actually here doing it versus watching us do it.
Yeah.
And I was 37 when I qualified. It's not like I was a kid. Like, I was the biggest fanboy forever, and I've seen both sides of it.
Yeah.
So once you get here, it's different than what you think it is, in my opinion.
That's awesome, man. All right, since we got to know you a little bit, so we got kind of a special week here, Pat. We have an end of the year meeting here. Bassmaster's putting on an end of the year meeting where they're addressing a bunch of things, rule changes, angler thoughts, positions. The forward-facing sonar thing I'm hearing is coming to a head, so they're supposedly they have a decision on that. What do you think we're gonna hear just in 3 days when we get through practicing? 3 days of practice, and boom, Wednesday we have a meeting. What do you think it's gonna be?
I have been at one other angler meeting in the time I fished in La Crosse my second year. I don't know if you went to that one or not. It was
you went to that one. That's when David walked out in.
Oh,
right?
I walked out. A bunch of people
walked out too.
Yeah.
Like it was like
There's a little insight for it. Yeah,
I've been in the business I was in. Like I've been through a lot of meetings, business meetings, training meetings, and I've never been in that's not how a meeting should go in a professional setting.
Are you saying that could have been an email?
No, I'm saying that if you're going to hold an angler meeting, which this one is going to be different.
Prepare
from what
for
it looks like. Yeah,
I didn't know what to expect, but coming from the world that I came from, that is not how you have a business meeting. Yeah. That's not how you deal with your employees. That's not how you organize a meeting. That is not how you address things. Mm-hmm. I walked out of there. I was so mad.
Was it ill prepared or what? I wasn't there.
It was, it felt like to me, it was just like, we're going to have it. And I don't know if people asked for it. I didn't know. It was my second year. I really didn't know. It just felt like they did it to do it. And there really wasn't a clear agenda or goal
kind of like
to the meeting.
Band-Aid on what like the issues were at hand.
So this was 2 years ago. So y'all didn't have one last year?
No.
We didn't. Yeah, that was my second year. So it would have been 2022. We didn't have one last year.
And you didn't have one your first year.
Didn't have one my first year either. Unless they used to do it in the. Didn't you have to go to Alabama or something?
Yeah, late January.
When the split happened, they started doing them in Alabama, but
20,
then
I never went to any of them. I don't know if they had that my rookie year or not, but
I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy to have angler meetings. Trait and I actually. With how much animosity is going on in the sport right now, and trust me, guys, there is a ton amongst the anglers. Hey, look, social media's got a lot to do with that. These little podcasts have a lot to do with that. Chit chat. But the anglers are the most important thing in this, I would say. And there's a lot of animosity between the anglers right now. And a lot of it has to do with rule enforcement. A lot of it has to do with forward-facing sonar.
Well, let's get into that. Let's pretend like it's the meeting day, and I'm just going to go through some categories, and y'all just give your opinions on what you guys would like to see. You know, who knows what's going to come.
All right, bring it.
Well, let's just prep it. You know, let's prep the fans for what, Wednesday's going to look like. Because they're not going to get to sit in it. I'm sure they're not going to let cameras in there. So,
and by the way, hold on one second. I wanted to make an Instagram post today. I wanted to ask just the fans who watch this podcast, who follow me on social media, follow you on social media, like what kind of changes do you guys want to see? Like, what is your biggest gripe with bass fishing? I mean, comment down below on this podcast dangerous. Here, but just tell us. In any overlap we see, I want to bring up in the meeting in 3 days, and you guys will see this before then. So, I know a lot of the forward-facing sonar stuff has been brewing up, and
let's talk about it.
Okay, sure.
All right, let's just get to it. Y'all got practice tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the first category is the no info rule. How would y'all like the no info rule to be? 30 days, no, you get to talk to people and get info. That's what it used to be. When Chris first was on the Elites, you could get info up until the 30-day mark.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not been in my time.
Nope.
Yeah.
Me personally, I want it to stay no info.
Yeah.
I think anybody who says that they've never gotten information in their life's a liar. Like you have a friend, of course.
You get beat on your home pond. you want to know
You do.
how that happened, and you're going to ask your buddy, how did that guy beat me on my home pond?
Yeah.
Like, it happens. It happens.
But at this level, I just want it to be as level playing field as it can be, and honestly, like I had no idea that like paying people for information was a thing.
It's a thing.
I had no. Granted, now you can go onto websites and buy waypoints, and you can buy maps with like that was foreign to me when I heard that the rumors that were flying around about people buying waypoints, and I personally saw a text message from someone's, not them, but someone that they know on an Elite Series phone, texting them, asking them for information, how much it would cost on a lake when that person was fishing the open. Because I'm the type of person where you could tell me 100 negative things about somebody,
you won't believe it until
they do something to me. I'm gonna, I'm fine with it. Like because
that's the way you should be.
That's the way I was raised. Like you got to give people the chance, right? And I did. I was like, and when I told the person, a friend of mine, a guy I know on the Elite Series, talked to some, I said, does anybody really know? Is there any proof? Like what?
Right.
And he's like, and he just didn't say a word, and he just went like this. And I read it, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. Granted, that was during the opens.
Yeah.
But like, it was like how much does this will it cost for you to do this?
Yeah.
It baffled me. And like I said, I will never, ever say that I've never talked to anybody when it's legal, or I've got a friend that fishes. I mean, I don't really know anybody who fishes the lakes we fish because I'm not very, very little. But
when it's legal, it's legal.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah. But like when it's a rule and you can't do it, like that's the way I want it to be. You can't do it. If somebody breaks the rule, make them pay for it.
Yeah.
If I break a rule doing something, whatever it is, I'm never going to break a rule on purpose. But if I come in late or I run a no wake or I do whatever, I will take the consequences.
Yeah,
I'm an adult.
Absolutely. So he got fined for, cussing with that little
I heard about that.
Yeah,
I didn't really
he got
know.
$250 fine.
But it's fine.
Yeah,
we didn't complain about it.
Yeah,
I mean, he said some words that he could have chose much better words.
Well, we also could have chose not to post the video, but I just want to show everyone, hey, look, this happens. It happens.
My feelings for people watching too. We posted the video twice. It's a little aggressive. And a lot of people are like
to look for that.
Yeah, it's real. It's not.
I told him I was going to come to his workplace and disrupt his paycheck like he was doing to mine. People were like, thought Chris was threatening the guy. It was. We could go there.
Of course
too.
they did.
Yeah,
of course
because they don't understand. It. But for people wondering why we posted it twice, well, we just wanted to be transparent. I knew it wasn't going to be the best look for my husband. He didn't care because he felt, he did it.
Let's just put it this way: in 2024, I'm at that point.
but we want to be transparent. That guy had a phone out. They were video recording. What a bad look would it be for them to post that video and we edited that part completely out of our video? Then y'all would never believe a word we say. So it happened. Chris got fined.
Transparency is big.
Yeah.
I just want, if there's a rule, I want it to be enforced. I want the no info rule to stay the same. Yep. And if there's, and they did adjust some stuff.
So then, okay, so let me cut you off there. Yes. We're pretty well connected when like rules are broken for whatever reason, stuff gets sent our way. There's a couple of guys that the stuff gets sent our way. So I haven't heard any guys breaking the 30-day off limits rules. I haven't heard of any proof or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
Listen now. Okay, so
okay, I didn't
technically
bleep the name. Bleep the name.
So I haven't heard of anyone, breaking the 30-day off limits rule, but what they're changing now is apparently a couple guys before they actually qualified for the elites gathered as much information as possible, shelled out the money, grabbed enough information as possible. Technically, they weren't qualified yet.
It was legal.
They knew
it's legal.
damn well they were going to qualify. We were like second, third, and
but it was
whatever
legal.
It was. Of course, legal. But it was legal. So that's the thing they're changing. I think that's what you're going to say.
That's what they're, so for now next year.
Which is right.
Then, yeah, and it should have been done years ago. For whatever it wasn't. And this year, because of the circumstances of the rookie class, they're really good anglers. They work really hard.
Yeah.
And they're doing well. and that's why that kind of came to
Perfect
a head.
storm.
But that stuff like that, when it happens, that's what brings things to a head and makes change happen.
Yeah.
So now we shouldn't have to have that conversation anymore.
Yeah.
Will we have it? Maybe. If somebody breaks it and it comes up, whatever. But now the precedent's set. It's done. You can't do that anymore.
As long as they write the rule in a way that
exactly.
Sure, but now so let's say we're going to Wisconsin and you don't know the lake or whatever. They announce that it's going to be in Wisconsin. You can't call your buddies right now. This is an Elite Series tournament. You can't call your buddies and say, "Give me all the information on all these Wisconsin lakes," right? Because right now, once you know
the schedule
comes out,
it's over.
Right.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
And there's already, I'm hearing rumors about it's always this time of year.
Did you get screenshots too?
No, I never got any.
You heard rumors though.
I'm way out of the loop, but I've heard different stuff, and I'm like,
I'll tell you how it happens. I'll tell you exactly how it happens. They pull permits. They have to pull permits. And an angler that has fished in that area for 15, 20 years happens to know a guy who is on a board or DNR guy, whatever it is, and just one little text, and then wildfire.
Someone texted me, "Do you know the schedule for next year?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't heard anything." 1 second, and I texted a couple of wives, and then they popped off with 4 lakes that they and then I texted another wife, and I'm like, "Dude."
What's your wife's name, Jessica?
Brittany.
Brittany needs to get on that text.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, the funny part is, so then they send theirs, and then Steve Kennedy's wife texted me the other day and was like, "Have you heard anything?" And I was like, "This is what I heard." And I copy and pasted, and she said, "Well, I heard 3 of the 4 of those."
Yeah, that's in the same.
But no one can confirm, right? So it's just wives talking.
But I don't go out and I just don't.
Right.
I want to know where we're gonna go because I want to plan and maybe this fall I go somewhere if I can. But I'm
not seeking.
I don't know. It's it's just crazy.
What's next on that list?
So next up, so we talked about no info rule, off limits. What about the foul hooking fish now with forward facing sonar?
You want me to go first?
I'll go first on this one. There was an incident. Charles was with me. Lake Murray. Was bed fishing on forward facing sonar. I legit caught all my fish that day, 19 pounds or so, all on forward facing, all on beds, real apparent bed. You see it, blah, blah, blah. Scott Martin did the same thing in Florida, blah, blah, blah. A lot of guys are doing it and legit caught all of them in the mouth. But there was one stubborn fish, 10 minutes to go, giant. You'd see it. She was turning on my bait, would not eat it. And 10 minutes ago, we got to go. She's not going to eat it. She's not going to eat it. And it crossed my mind, okay, this is forward-facing sonar. I don't see it visually. Can I throw a rattle trap down there? Can I throw something down there to, get it? It crossed my mind. It literally, I never did it. Crossed my mind, go to weigh-in, and I tell everyone at the weigh-in, I'm like, dude, gosh, I could have had a giant bag, 25 pounds, blah, blah, blah. It was a huge one. And I was in the bump tanks right there, and, veterans, guy like Ike, Hank Cherry was there. I was telling about the story. There was a mega right here, and Ike straight up tells me, dude, you could have threw a spoon down there, snagged that fish, and it would have been legal, straight up. And it was apparently on a bed, apparent as hell, live scoping everything. So
what do you want out of the roll?
The point.
Chatty Cathy.
For every fish to be hooked inside the mouth. Gosh, that's a lot. That is a lot.
Think about if you're throwing jerk baits.
That's a lot. I've been tangled in a mess like that too, back in your state of Wisconsin. Where fish, dude, plain as day, T-bone, boom, T-bone. It digs, and then one hook comes out, and I'm like, that thing was just hooked in. We're supposed to be hooked in the mouth, and I boat flipped it, and guys complain, and I swore, if we had GoPros, it would show it clearly, T-bone in its mouth. And guys complained. I had to take a 2-hour-long polygraph, blah, 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 this and that.
That was the one you won, right?
Yeah, one. Yeah. It was a little postseason event. It meant nothing. But long story short, if every fish were to be hooked inside the mouth, yes, that would solve the problems. But come on.
Throwing jerk baits, crank baits.
I'm telling you, hey, you got to throw back 8-pounders down in Texas.
Glide bait.
You can't. I mean, you
can't.
I could see them saying, in your scenario, when you're using perspective mode, that it has to be hooked in the mouth. I'll get on board with that.
So the bed fishing, if you're bed fishing,
if you're using perspective and bed fishing, and I mean, we all freaking know, we will.
We know
what's going on.
bed fishing.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You can say you don't, but you know what's going on.
Yep.
But if you're throwing a jerk bait in exactly what you just described, they're coming at it, and it happens when you're not using live scope.
Yeah.
I mean, I've caught thousands of fish on a jerk bait before live scope. You'll feel them bumping it, and then boom, they get it, and you'll feel the hook pull out, and you got them in the cheek.
Yeah.
Well, they T-boned it. You had 2 hooks in it, and it turned and pulled the one out. Yeah. Like you can't. If they do that, I mean, you'll never be able to throw a jerk bait.
So my solution to that would be if you are bed fishing. There it is, bed fishing. If there's a apparent bed. And then guys will say like, "Oh, but it was another fish that came in, like that." But you were bed fishing.
Yep, and that goes like what I always think about that kind of stuff is like I can't remember who told me this a long time ago. I don't even know if it pertained to fishing, but like rules are written for honest people or the people that are going to follow them.
Absolutely,
like you're always going to have the people,
gun laws are the same way.
Yeah, like you're not gonna, you have to give people the benefit of the doubt that they're gonna do the right thing. Yeah. Not everybody's gonna do the right thing.
No, we've seen it.
We've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
And eventually it is going to catch up with them. Will it be in a year? Will it be in, we don't know.
3 days from now.
But it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm gonna put myself in a position to where I'm gonna do what's right, what I feel like's right. If I mess up, do something wrong, if I hook a fish that's questionable, I'll call. I'll hold it up to the camera. Yep. I'll do whatever I need to do, and whatever the call is, that's fine.
I wish all 104
and it's not everybody's like that. And you get into a tough situation where you need one more fish, and you're like, oh dang it, it's kind of like I don't know. That's tough. Yeah. That's where it really comes down to the person, and you're never gonna
ought to be inside the mouth only. February, March, April, May. Depending on where we're at or whatever.
So I'll say this from a business perspective. We're already seeing the tackle hit at the retail level from board-facing sonar to an extent with the jighead minnows. If you were to take the ability to catch fish outside of the mouth off the table, it would hurt jerkbait cells.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's pretty much the only hard bait that's really like...
Single
really
hooks,
doing well right now. I think from a business perspective, like Bass should really think that one through because that it would be devastating.
Yeah, it's just not. If they change it to that where every fish has to be hooked inside the. I mean that I'll never throw a freaking jerkbait.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna be throwing back some pretty big ones.
Yeah. What's next?
So okay, so y'all are both against the outside the mouth, but try to figure the forward facing and bed fishing part out. Okay. Okay. So what about rules about what you can and can't say on social media about other anglers and the organization?
That's on the list. We're talking about that on Wednesday?
Social media is.
Wow.
I don't know exactly how what they're meaning,
I'm guilty of some of that there. Yeah.
Your wife is definitely.
You're getting fined.
Yeah. They did threaten that.
I don't know. I mean, that's like for me, I'm active on social media. I try not to say anything about people. Yeah. I just in like bass, I know that's a rule. I've honestly had some tough times with like on Mercer's podcast, like holding back just stuff that I don't agree with, but I just don't know what are they going to do to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's and I understand why I would never sit there and just bash bass because I love them. Like it's what we do. Like that's how
my bashing is like more out of love. That's just the type of human I am.
It's tough love. Trust me, I know it. My thing is we're paying $45,000 in entry fees. Okay. If we weren't paying $45,000 in entry fees and we were an employee of it, then shut your mouth. Nothing at all. But we're paying $45,000. I'm going to get $45,000 worth of my thoughts out there. And this is, I mean, me not just 4 years ago, so 8-9 years into it, it would be like, okay, no, we're good. Let's roll. But you're paying $45,000, like, and you have an issue, like, speak it.
Well, especially like the stuff that's happening this year.
Well, that's the thing.
Where it's like, some of the stuff, it's like, but when it's like
blatant,
when you're having stuff happen, every
over.
freaking event.
Mhm.
It's like, and honestly, I don't know if Lisa and Chris, I don't know if they've ever dealt with a year like this.
No.
They're probably like,
Yeah.
we don't know what the hell to
It's
do
like
either.
snowballing.
Yeah,
every
and you
tournament.
think, okay, that's okay, and then boom, something else happens.
So
Now we're cutting down cypress trees.
here's a
Now
good-
we're freaking doing
Yeah.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
What the hell?
cutting down trees in a
WMA.
WMA.
To
In
gain,
a,
to gain an advantage in a tournament.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, and
So here's a good time to kind of rehearse.
wait,
No, it's a great time to
Okay.
rehearse the thoughts I had. So Pat Schlapper, what do you think of, like you said, Chris and Lisa? This is unprecedented for them, right? They're getting calls every week. Let's face it, on breaking rules and things like that. I wouldn't want to be them. When these anglers call and demand that this guy get reprimanded, whatever it is. So why don't we construct a 5 to 7 angler panel each and every tournament, or each and every time
Randomly-
a rule is broken? You may get selected for jury duty. I may get selected for jury
randomly
duty.
drawn.
When something happens, and let's face it, social media, you don't see the shit that happens until 3 weeks after. A guy releasing a dead fish, or hooked outside the mouth, or these trees, or whatever it might be, or putting an alewife back in a fish, whatever it is. At that point, Bass should assemble a 5 to 7, an odd number, angler panel, a jury, to go over and look at it and assess the penalty from there. I mean, your
Peers,
Yeah,
your peers should judge
you're
you
judged
versus them.
It's that way. Chris doesn't have to do it. Lisa doesn't have to do it, and we're in the trenches day in and day out.
I'm on the fence about that
Yep.
because where I see a problem with that, and this is just coming from, like I said, my background, and like, when you do that, a lot of times emotion from past events will come
Absolutely.
into play.
Sure,
I see what
sure.
you're
Right?
This guy
So-
cut you off.
Yeah, we're like, well,
So
yeah,
instead of
I'm gonna
17,
get this
so
bitch
instead
now.
of
You know,
5, 7,
yeah,
or
that's
9. Yeah.
that's where you get into
Yeah.
an issue with that.
Absolutely.
I agree with you there.
So
Absolutely.
it's a slippery slope now, and ultimately, once again, like, I feel like we're paying them to do that, and that I don't think the responsibility should be put on us, because I just don't,
Yeah.
I agree.
because it's not like it's a 20 boat club tournament.
Sure.
It's like we're paying a lot of money.
Yeah.
They're getting paid a lot of money.
It should be well structured. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not discrediting what they've done. There's just stuff that's happening that
yeah.
That hasn't happened.
it
before.
hasn't happened, and I think what your idea would work in a lot of scenarios, but I think there's scenarios where consequences may not be just
Mhm.
for that situation
Well,
because of past situations.
So when it comes to rule enforcement, then like what do you think they need to do? Because like you said, y'all pay a lot of money. It's like $4.5 million that comes from you guys in entry fees and goes to them. Right? Am I right?
It's $4 million, and then Chase puts in another $4 million.
Yeah, 4.5, 45 grand, 100 anglers. So how do they, because the enforcement is a problem. That's going to be a conversation at your meeting. What do they do then to construct a way where they actually start enforcing these things?
So what I think they need to do is they need to have, for that rule book, they need to have a consequence for the rule.
Yes.
If this rule happens, this happens.
Yeah. Like a tiered thing.
Yeah, if it happens, this happens.
Yeah.
Not like,
Yeah.
well, we're gonna kind of,
Yeah.
We'll decide.
At our judgment. At our discretion.
Yes, that's what I think
Yeah.
it has to happen. Like, there's consequences when stuff
Right.
happens, and
Yeah.
these are the consequences. Not like it might happen.
Different tiers.
Different, well,
of-
like in an NFL game, if
Yeah.
this penalty occurs, this is what you.
Yes, it's different for
Yeah.
the guy who comes in hot on a no wake.
Yeah.
Well,
Citation, misdemeanor, felony.
or there's things that you forget to hook your kill switch up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like that stuff
Petty
happens.
shit, yeah.
But you shouldn't get DQ'd for that. You're
Yeah.
not getting a competitive advantage. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
but if you go out and get a bunch of waypoints from a guy you paid,
Get
Yeah.
smoked.
then you're done.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
your ass out of here. Like, I'm too much invested
So
in
I like
my
that.
life
I like
that
that.
like
I I like that.
to be messing around with that. And
either the jury system or a tiered system where you know exactly what you've done wrong. It falls under this category. Either you're last in line to launch that morning, whether it's $250 fine, whether
but
it's
exactly
this is what it
disqualification.
is.
Yeah.
This is what it is. Now that won't be easy to figure out.
Yeah.
But
That's
and
your
maybe
job.
they ended up modifying it, but that's what I think it should be. And then if you do it, you're like, well, it
Good
just
point.
cost me
Right.
$500 or
Absolutely.
whatever it is.
You know exactly what's
know
coming.
what it is. And if you turn yourself in or if you get called out on it, it's just that's it.
Be a man.
We're done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's
Do
no
the crime, do the
arguing.
time.
There's no.
I like it.
There's no like.
Cut and dry.
That's what it is. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So one thing, one of our really good friends also happens to be our lawyer. He read through the rules, and one thing he pointed out that was glaring to him was there's nowhere in y'all's rule book where it says Bassmaster has to enforce the rules. And he said there's got to be something that says, especially
Holds them
with
to it.
entry fees being paid,
Yeah.
there's got to be something that says they have to do something.
I feel like they just want to keep it. They don't want to have to disqualify somebody.
Right.
Of course.
They don't want to have to bring to the public things that happen that look bad on bad. Which
It doesn't.
So
it's a,
let me ask you
it's
this.
a sport
Yeah.
in
Let
game.
me
It's
ask you this.
battle.
It
What
is.
is worse for an organization? Not, disqualifying or not penalizing a person for breaking the rules, or having a just about full field of animosity and angst and poop talking for the most part, which is kind of going on right now. I don't know how many guys you talk to, but there's a lot of guys who aren't happy right now. So what's worse, not doing that or having this whole field of people in
It's a sport.
angst?
yeah, I mean, I think they're both. I was just saying, like, that's probably why they didn't write that in there. Like, we have to enforce, because they want to ultimately be able to make the decision of like, well, do we really want to do this?
You're right.
But I mean,
No one wants to do it. Right?
No one wants
of
to
course,
do it.
I
Like,
wouldn't.
if I seen you do something,
Yeah,
I'd be like,
I know it. Yeah.
I
Don't
gotta or Bob down,
Yeah.
my best
Yeah.
friend. Like, God dang it, Bob!
Yeah.
Like, you gotta
Yeah.
but you gotta do
But
it.
it's a sport, or we're at least trying to be a sport. What if we're talking football, right? Pass interference. You just call it.
You call it. Yeah.
Pass interference is pass interference. And if we don't, you're telling me, this gets me really going. You're telling me that we're supposed to believe in every tournament nobody broke a rule.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm sure a rule's broken in every tournament. I'm sure there is.
It's statistically impossible.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched a football game where no rule was broken?
But some of them you can't call. Like, you can't. It's just you can't.
Right, there's no way.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And so then it comes down to once again, I'm a believer in karma.
Yeah.
Like, if you do something, you get away with it. It's gonna come back on you.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a bad.
Doing it. Yeah.
We've seen it in other leagues. Like, when it comes back on you, it ain't good.
Yeah.
So
I think you guys, and I've talked to Philip about this recently. They've got to get cameras that are live streaming 24/7 in y'all's boat. They have to. And
Not
my
for
thing
coverage,
is
but
not just coverage,
enforcement.
but rule enforcement.
that would be a great thing. That'd be.
And imagine if people were watching that all their job is to enforce the rules.
Yeah, that's a big investment for them or for us, whoever ends up paying
it.
for it. I mean, I think ultimately that would be cool anyways, to be able to do that. And
Yeah.
and then, if people wanted to watch you fish.
Yeah.
Everyone from Wisconsin will be clicking your name. Yeah.
It's a win-win
my
on both
fans,
sides. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. But and I bet you that will happen. Now, will it be in 10 years? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I have no idea, but I bet it'll happen. Technology will advance and it'll be easier, and you'll be able to have.
It better happen soon, as far as I'm concerned.
What's
the technology's there. Okay. So one of them was rules enforcement transparency. The transparency of what they decide, what they put out to the public.
That one's easy. That one's easy. It should be in every weekly update.
How much though?
All of it. Everything that went down.
So the full. So if you're a cop,
if I was fined $250 2 weeks ago,
no.
let everyone know.
If you're a cop and you arrest someone and you have this whole arrest report. So the whole report should be in there. You should know exactly what they did, how they did it, what all Bass knows.
I just think the action and the consequence.
Boom, there it is.
That's what it should.
Yep.
This person did this. This is what we did.
I love this.
Simple.
This straightforward.
It doesn't have to be.
I love it. This
and
guy
then
trains
maybe
his own dogs. He's from Wisconsin. I love this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that to me. If you really want to know, if you're like, well, I want to know what happened, then maybe if you ask, you can get the full thing.
Sure.
I don't want to read the full report of everything.
Right.
I just be like, okay, yeah, he did that. This okay.
Rules infraction.
Okay, so I have a question.
Okay.
So the tree cutting down thing, they said, okay, trees were cut down. This was the fine. They didn't say the trees were cut down in the WMA. We all know they were. They only told y'all just a little bit, and that justifies their little bit of fine.
Yeah, see, in that scenario too, which is freaking crazy. I can't believe that. I mean, I can, but I just when I heard about it, I'm just
the pictures what threw me with the geo whatever. You could see exactly where they were.
I didn't see that. I would love to see it.
I have,
but I didn't. But like, so that scenario where it happened during I was actually on the lake when they were doing. I had no idea. I was camping next to them. But anyhow,
you didn't hear the chainsaw at night?
No, I had no idea.
It wasn't electric. It was hand.
But
it's in the picture.
So if you get a fine or break a rule in practice, or pre-practice?
Right now you're protected. You can go murder someone and you can fish the next tournament. Yeah.
Because that's what was my question when that happens. Like, so if I get a ticket for running a no wake you're month fine. Before the tournament,
you're fine. You're good.
But yeah,
but you do it in practice, then
you're in trouble.
It's weird though, because if you can't get waypoints, then shouldn't all the other rules
That's
apply?
Where I'm going with this. That's a weird scenario. Now, I mean, that's a really weird scenario, that whole one. But that was my question when it came up. I was like, well, it was a freaking month ago.
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna DQ him for that when it was a month ago? Yeah. Like, okay.
Trying to find the photo.
What else? Now, what else? Go back to the email.
Okay, so we have rolls and forward-facing sonar.
Yeah, what are they going to decide, dude? Have you heard they've made a decision?
You put a lot of time into learning it, didn't you?
You're good at it,
well,
bro.
Here's the thing.
You're good at it.
Like, I sold fishing electronics for 20 years. I'm not a technical person. Like, I couldn't run any of this stuff in here. Yeah. But I can sell a locator and I can run one. And like, I've been on the front edge of every technology. I've had live scope for a long, long time. Yeah. But I'm one of those people, when I learn something and I learn what I'm doing with it and I know I don't tell people.
No, you keep it quiet.
I don't want people to know. Like, the year I fished the opens, like, it helped me a lot because a lot of people didn't have it because they were with whatever companies and they didn't know what they were doing, and it helped me a lot. So, but with the recent techniques, I put a ton of time in to learn how to, from the tackle to the everything. Yeah. And so I don't like being faulted for that I put a lot of time in, invest a lot of time, a lot of money to get better at something. And now you want to take it away because some people don't like it. And everybody can have their opinion. I'm not going to hate on someone because they have their opinion, but they damn sure better not hate on me because of my opinion and what I've worked hard to learn how to do.
So I'm in the same boat as you, Pat. I at the start of this year, I was very green to it. I hopped in with some of the world's best on some of my local lakes, learned from them, used it all year long. A lot of my fish I caught this year were on it, no doubt. But the thing that concerns me most is all those freaking comments that I read about how boring it is to watch. And yes, and then you got to think about like where we're going to be in 5 or 6 years if we continue on this path and everything is just an electronics freaking showdown. If that's where we're going to be, hey, that's fine. I probably won't be a part of it. But
stays, the question is, does it stay this way or do the fish adapt and things go back? But we don't know.
We don't know. And I think that, fish, I've seen it. I've seen the change on some lakes
from the beam
back home where like I've been doing things for a while that other people haven't. And now like people are starting to do stuff.
Tell me off air. Tell me.
And I've seen it. Yeah. Like where it's different now. So they will adapt. And there's going to be, I really honestly think you're never going to win angler of the year strictly just being a live scope. Some of the best live scopers out there, the people that guys think of when you talk about live scope, they finished, I mean, they're catching them now this time of year, but they weren't earlier.
No, you're right.
You got to know how to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Like you have to know how to sight fish. You have to know how to fish grass. You just have to know how to do all that stuff to be super consistent and to win AOY, I think. Now you got your fouts.
Yeah.
You got the people that are kicking butt this year, but they were live scopers last year and didn't do good. I mean, I just don't like the argument that like
I hear you.
It's going to be fully dominated by live scope all the time. Is it going to be a player in every tournament? Yes. Is it going to win every tournament? No. Hasn't won every tournament this year.
Yeah.
Has half of them.
So let's say hypothetically, so remember when we were at Toledo Bend and Bass, right before the first event, they took a tape measure to the top of your seat, to the top of their graph, and screen inches and how many transducers, recorded all that. That's probably confidential information. I don't know. They recorded all this stuff to make the decision in 3 days. Oh, they already made the decision. They're going to tell us in 3 days. In your opinion, if they limit the screen size and only limit it to one transducer, do you think that will make any difference whatsoever?
No, it won't.
Zero.
Because the people that are going to freaking learn how to do it, they're going to learn how to do it with
transducer.
I did it on one forever.
With a 7-inch screen.
That's what I had a 9-inch screen forever. Yep. That's what I ran. And I won tons of money doing it. And then when it's like you start learning, I mean, I learned about putting them on the back from Kenta. I seen him on St. Louis. I'm like, what is that? And then he's kind of looked and he told me. And then that was when Masa was fishing too. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I got that. And I learned how to use that.
Yeah.
So, but I did it with one forever. Yeah. If you give me one or you give Kenta one, or like, come on,
just as deadly. Yeah.
That's what Josh Jones tells us. You only need one.
That's how
don't matter.
The rest are, that's nice. It makes you more efficient. It makes me quicker to have a perspective and a forward where I don't have to mess with it. I can just go to a different screen. Yeah, that's nice, but I don't need it. No. I don't need to have
one beam is all you need.
I don't need two 12-inch graphs on the dash, one for side imaging, one for mapping. It's nice, but I can have one.
Yeah.
But, I think for us, like if they limit it, I'm fine with it. But I'm really, really sick of hearing about like it's pricing people out. Like it's expensive, but you know what? I drive a car, but I don't drive a freaking NASCAR. I'm not a professional NASCAR driver. We're professional bass fishermen. We're two of 200 people in the world that I would say are true professional bass fishermen. We should have more of that stuff. It's our freaking job. Yeah. I'm paying $5,000 to go out on Lake Champlain and try to do good.
Yeah.
I'm going to invest in my business.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Makes sense.
The guy who's fishing the Tuesday nighters shouldn't have all. I didn't. You didn't.
I feel like we should have a beer and a brat to this conversation.
We just had some
This guy's awesome.
But my thing is, okay, you're a sportsman. You talked about hunting and everything. So I would assume that you have a conservation side to you.
Oh, yeah.
So my question is, do you think that there are conservation issues, especially like with what we see in Texas with a lot of people catching fish deeper that don't necessarily know how to take care of them once they're caught, Do you, and they're focusing on a much larger fish that they're targeting. Do you see issues there at all?
Potentially, but I don't know if it's, I think there are other issues in the conservation end of things that are more of an issue than that myself.
Yeah.
Including how, I'm not even going to say it.
You could say it.
Including how some organizations, some things that they do impact it more than live scope.
Okay.
Like, I mean, size limits, not having a tournament in Alabama when it's 110 degrees in freaking July.
Yeah, that was bad.
I mean, come on.
It was bad.
This guy's
like
sharp.
this. Don't preach to me about conservation.
Yeah.
When I'm hauling my damn fish 2 hours to go weigh them in.
Yeah.
At a classic.
Yeah.
Don't tell me about conservation.
Right. I agree.
I mean, I'm passionate about conservation.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in the woods and on the water, and I respect I respect the environment more than most people do.
Sully would be so proud to hear you say that.
I just am. Like, I'm passionate about it. And like, if I kill a fish, I don't even care about I mean, yeah, you care about the penalty, but I feel so bad.
Sure.
I feel
Absolutely.
horrible.
It's a 3 to 6 year old fish.
And you see 50 of them floating down the bank.
Yeah.
It
if you
irks
guys
me.
were, I was thinking about the Smith Lake. If you guys were in such bad shape physically as humans, imagine how the fish.
Yeah, and I just, once again, Bass. I had a good event. I had both of the events I had in Alabama were good events. I like the lakes a lot. I just, when you go there, and I don't know the circumstance. I don't know the business side of it. Why they went there, I really don't know, and I don't think Bass maliciously. They would never do that, but like. We all seen it and we're like, oh my god,
yeah, it's a no-brainer.
They learned from it, and I just it just really hurts me, and it looks bad for us.
Yeah.
Think about the local people, what they thought. It's just
how many dead ones did you weigh in?
A leader in
I didn't weigh in
conservation.
any.
Really?
No, 0.
Good for you.
0.
I had 2, I think.
I had 0, and they were good. It's not like I had a couple that were like you weighed them in and they were going to die. They were really good shape. I took care of them, but it's
not like that one in that video we've seen recently.
That's a weird scenario.
Don't put him in that. Just for some comedic relief.
Oh my god, that is insane, dude.
Yeah, no, it's
a cypress tree.
What are they? I know.
Go back to the email. What's next?
That is crazy.
I'll show you one more thing. If you click info, it shows everything. Date, when it happens.
Oh my god! I mean,
that's what the public doesn't understand. I know they think I'm a pot stirrer, and I am a little bit because I'm a woman and I love that stuff. But also, usually if I'm talking, I've seen it. I've got something that can back up with receipts. But yeah,
well, yeah, and a lot of like, I mean, some of the comments you see.
It's crazy.
You go back to Ford Vision Sonar, like, when I caught him on Toledo Bend, and it's like you get a video of you catching an 8.5 pounder, and then you just get blasted on there.
Yeah.
Like, it hurts.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm freaking living my dream.
Yeah.
I busted my ass to
Social
get
media
here.
I'll tell you, that scale doesn't care what you caught that thing or how you caught that thing. That scale's 8.5
You have a job
dude.
to do.
And you're going to blast me because Randy says it's bad. Like,
for Randy.
It hurts me.
I will say this, Randy, we shared sponsors together, very outspoken. He has some good points. He absolutely does.
I agree.
Has some good points. Then he's got a business to run as well.
He's doing well in his business, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But he passionately also believes in what he says.
He cares.
Me and him don't get along at all when it comes to politics, as in like blocked on Twitter type, but we'll talk about fishing. But he believes in what he says, and I respect someone who doesn't give a rip what other people say and will say how they feel.
I love that.
And that's where I give, even if there's a lot of people who don't agree with him.
All right, what's next on the agenda?
Poor Randy, y'all are just
old Randy.
Okay, so tournament scheduling is on the list.
That's boring. Go to the next one.
Wait, no, do you like that they go to the same areas, the same regions? You're from the Midwest.
I mean, I was pumped this year when they went to Texas early.
Yeah, that was great.
All right, that's awesome. Like, because I've fished Texas a lot that time of year, and it's just it was a change of pace from going to Florida, and then going to Florida when we went there. I didn't do great in them, but I like that, shaking it up. I mean, I love these lakes. Champlain's my favorite lake ever, and I like the St. Lawrence, but I mean, I'm cool going back. Let's go fish some stuff back. Let's go to the river again. Let's go to Oahe again. Let's go to some of the other badass lakes.
Are you down to go west?
Far.
Don't break my heart.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of lakes I would really like to fish out there.
Mm-hmm.
I would. I mean, it's not like if the schedule came out and the Delta was on it, I would quit. I might be like, okay, well,
figure it out.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
I mean, $2,000 extra.
Yeah, it's the expense of it, and just some of the things that happen in California I don't necessarily agree with.
Bro, once you cross over into that California line, towing a bass boat, 55 miles an hour. Cannot go over 55 miles an hour.
Just stuff like that. Like, I don't want to give my money to places that
I like it.
That's why I moved out.
Yeah.
What's next? Or my 2 cents on that was going back to what you said. Scheduling. Just know that it's going to be 90-degree water temperatures in Alabama in July. Like, just know that and not schedule us there in July.
Yeah, and I think like when I kind of went on my little rant about conservation and it branched into that, I'm not trying to talk bad about that. I think they knew that it wasn't great.
They're the leader of our sport. Okay, look, we can be soft about it, but that should have never been on the schedule.
It shouldn't have, but like I don't want it to seem like I hate bass.
Right.
But like that's what crosses my mind when people are like, well, live scope is it's going to kill them all. Blah, blah. No, well,
that's a good point.
Keep it on the live well when it's 100 degrees for 10 hours is going to kill them all.
Thank you for clearing that up. Trait,
days off. Do y'all like the days off, Wednesdays off?
I want to hear what you say about that.
Okay, so this is a good example of everyone has their own agenda. I don't have kids. I got 3 dogs, a wife. I got Charles filming and editing, and I travel in an awesome RV. I'm okay with a day off because I am worn out towing this thing all over the place, prepping, podcasts, social media, 3 days of practice. I love a day off. I absolutely do. I don't have kids at home. I don't have wife at home. So that is my opinion. That is one of 104. Yeah. That is one of 104 dudes. I love it.
Yeah.
I got tackle prep, dude. I got to prep my tackle for game day.
And I like to have 3 full days if I can to practice. Not that I necessarily need it all the time, but I like to have it.
Yeah.
And then, I like to get a day's rest, get all my tackle ready.
Yeah.
Go eat breakfast at a local place, hang out with people,
spend money in the freaking host city. Sure,
absolutely. And like I just feel like a lot of people are just like they're just rushed. We want to get it done and get home and get in a tree stand.
That's why I prefaced it as they've got families at home. I completely understand that. I understand that.
But would have been my second year. Was that the year we voted on an off day?
Maybe so.
We voted.
Yeah, y'all voted,
and it was like 80% wanted an off day, and then we had it. And I was like, this is freaking awesome.
And then the schedule comes out and you get one every now and then.
And we don't get it. And the other thing why I like an off day is when it happened on Harris Chain this year and it happened here last year. When you have a blow day, okay, now all of a sudden next week you're not getting your off day next week because we had a blow day, and then you get your full practice and it doesn't affect stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it, but I know that's a polarizing topic too that people have strong opinions about, but I like an off day.
Yeah. What else?
I agree with you. Briefings and meetings, should y'all have them every tournament? In person?
No, I don't.
So since COVID, we stopped doing the in-person meetings. The one advantage to that is if these little grumblings happen from David Mullins, from Gerald Swindle, I'm just picking names here, from myself. You bring those up at that meeting that week. So it gets addressed that week, and we squash it, we hash it out, we address it, boom, 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 we go on to the next tournament. That's the only advantage.
I have a suggestion. Woman's mind, right? If y'all have an off day, y'all should do meetings every week. If there's an off day.
I would get on board with that.
Yeah. But if there's not an off day, no, because it's too much. Tackle and everything. That's what they used to do when he first started. No off day, and you had a meeting every Wednesday.
Yeah. That's
so many dudes were late, dude. They were late to the meeting all the time.
Like he said, it keeps crap from snowballing. Yeah. So this animosity, because there's communication every time, you feel bonded with your anglers because you're actually seeing them in one room every event. I'm not saying like super bonded, but you feel like a group. Like there's a connection.
Get on board with that. I like that idea.
And that was the other thing about the angler panel or judged by your peers or jury panel is like you're a group. Like I do not want to feel embarrassed if you're judging me on a 7 angler panel if I put an alewife in a fish or if I cussed out a local or something like that. Like I'd be embarrassed to be around you. That's going to prevent me from doing that next time. You know, like it keeps you as a group.
Competition hours? I don't know. So 8-hour days or something. Yeah.
I have no gripe.
8-hour days. It'd be cool to throw in a start at 9 or 10.
I thought the MPFL did that.
Yeah.
That'd
cool.
be interesting. But
depending on time of year and circumstances, sure.
They had the water, the current wasn't turned on till later in the day, so they pushed it back. That's smart just for like television, everything.
Yeah.
You guys catching them, making the host city look
I thought
better.
that was cool.
Top 50? I don't know. So it just says top 50. Okay.
This is a good little rehearsal for Wednesday. I love it.
I think it might be there might be a lot more things chimed in on that day.
Takeoff?
I think takeoff's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, takeoff's good.
Great.
And weigh-in?
I had no gripes with the weigh-in. Sometimes I think it takes too long, but other than that, I think they do a great job.
Let's have Mercer chime in on that one. Yeah. That's his job.
It is.
So then the last two, which are on the list, that are Bassmaster Live and Bassmaster.com. So maybe like
that's
how much coverage
points,
y'all get?
That's their talking point.
Do you think you get enough coverage for what you pay? Does it bother you?
If the only time I get coverage is if I catch them.
You earn it.
Which is fine. Yeah. And I think that there are certain people, like, you get more camera time, but you've earned it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
13, yeah.
Like I don't feel like mad when they don't like call me, hey, we're gonna give you a camera. Like
on day one. You're talking about like day one.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it because I'm like, well, I'm not. It's not like I'm a superstar. I'm not. I'm consistent, but it's not like I don't have 10 million followers. I'm not that guy.
But here's my 2 cents. You're not going to get 10 million followers if you're never on camera and you only have 9 tournaments a year. And you're going to have off years. You're not going to make a top 10 online tournaments. And
Pat,
you got a brand.
Pat, were you aware of in 2000? Tell them about 2019 equal coverage.
So when the split happened, one of the biggest gripes was always the coverage, that there wasn't
what you talked about.
There wasn't enough. It was only if you caught them. And so in 2019, when the split happened, they promised that they would make sure everyone at least was on camera once per season.
Well, right now, and you guys see this if you watch Bassmaster Live, on day one, if we go to Wisconsin, they're going to choose you, whoever else is from the area, and past winners, right, on day one. If they go to Texas, they're going to pick me, Lee Livesey, Keith Combs, and past winners of that body of water. But in 2019, when the split happened,
they had a big whiteboard.
They vowed to give everyone equal time. So if we go to Texas, you weren't going to see me. You were going to see some other dude and 5 other dudes.
They had a big whiteboard, and every time someone was on live, they get marked up. So they at least got on live once. Same thing with awesome. Bass Times.
Great idea.
With Bassmaster Magazine. They made sure you at least had one article that season. And I thought that was smart.
I think that's a good idea. And I am surprised at times, like when we went back to Sandy Cooper or we were in La Crosse. I live an hour from La Crosse. I didn't have a great tournament, but like
you should have been day one.
Like Bob, Caleb, and I were all like, none of us had a camera. And like when we were on Sandy Cooper, the second would have been last year. Well, Caleb had gotten second the year before. I got a top 10, had big fish, and like I was just surprised that you don't get a call like, hey, you catching them?
Just check in.
Just to see. If I'm not catching them, I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm smashing them.
And I will say to,
don't make excuses.
No, I mean, that requires, someone putting in the effort, doing the research, calling you up.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not that hard.
I don't think it's not like they're going to call every single person.
No, right.
Yeah.
But like, okay, well, this is the top 10 from last time.
Yeah.
Check in.
And it's kind of the same time of year. Let's call and see what's going on. Like if he's on that same deal, maybe we want to watch him maybe catch another 10
That just helps production. Yeah. That's just good for production.
Yeah, I if it was me doing it, I would do that, but I'm not doing it. I'm just trying to catch them.
I agree.
Is that the end of it, Trey?
That's pretty much it, yeah.
All right. We've covered a lot.
Wait, one question before you close this up. Do you have anything in that meeting that we haven't discussed today that you feel like you want to bring up?
Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, I think everything we talked about tonight is what needs to be
forefront.
Talked about.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like. So, unless there's stuff I don't know about, and it probably is, it probably is. But no, I feel like, that's what I would have the concern with. I mean, I'm thankful to be doing it. I don't want to be that was the toughest part about this year. And I talked to become good friends with Tim Doobie, who's awesome. And he's like, it's his first year. And he's like, he asked me, he's like, is this how it always is? Like everybody's always fighting. And I'm like, it's the first I've seen it. And
it's a bad year,
dude. I don't want to, I want to have fun.
Yeah.
I want to have fun, make a living, hang out with people and not be negative.
I'll say this, and this year feels worse. The split year was bad. Leading up to the split, it's like they capitalized. They that was the year that they canceled the West Coast swing because English were pissed. Like, it was bad that year, and I feel like this year is worse. I feel like 2019 was great. There was a lot of excitement, and then it started to dwindle.
I really hope this year is an anomaly.
Same.
And this week we get it hashed out, and we're trying to catch bass.
Yeah.
We're trying to catch bass and try to make some money to survive. I'm not going to get rich. I don't care if I get rich. This is what I've wanted to do since I was a kid, man.
What Rick Klun, when he pulled up to site 47, we're in 45. He pulled up to site 47. It's exactly what he said when I asked him about some of the things going on. He said he just wants to put the food on the table and go catch bass and stay away from all the shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, that's great. So I got two things for you as we close out here. One, a couple weeks ago, I think I made a post about Bates fishing reels. You asked me how I liked them. I freaking love them. So I brought you for hopping on and being kind of Trait's not a punching bag. You weren't.
I felt like we were on the same page.
Yeah,
I know.
we had a lot of them.
I was the outcast over here. Anyways, I brought you a Bates Hundo reel.
Is that a salty Hundo?
No, this is the regular Hundo. You're absolutely going to love that thing.
You got given this to me?
Absolutely.
No way.
375 bones,
oh, my God.
Dude. Yeah.
I was just talking to Kenta
Yours,
and Atkins about how I buy all my own reels.
Yeah,
and
you're going to love that thing.
Yeah,
dude.
I've looked at them in the
Rock
shops
solid.
before. That thing.
Rock solid.
They're
you don't have to do
all
that.
aluminum construction, all the bearings, the little gummy grips are freaking phenomenal.
You don't have to
Made
do
in the
that.
USA, all that stuff. It's all good. So
Man, that is awesome. I really appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. And finally, lastly, here on the Bilge Podcast, before we part ways, you got to give us just some basic life advice, whether it's to the aspiring bass fishing anglers out there or dog owners, hunters, or someone that's been in a marriage for a while, 39, 40 years old. Basic life advice.
I could go a lot of ways with me, but I guess I would just say don't.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
I never knew you. I've never seen this side on camera.
Yeah, he's been going through some stuff with some family.
Don't take things or people for granted. Tell them you love them and enjoy life.
That's awesome, man. We appreciate it. Very good, Pat Schlapper. We appreciate you for being on here and look forward to having a good event here at Champlain.
Yeah,
I hope so. Sorry about that.
You're good, brother.
You're good.
Enjoy that reel, and we'll get after it bright and early in the morning.
Yeah, good luck this week, Pat.
Thank you for coming out, brother. You did good.
Thank you very much. God dang it, I made it the whole fucking
That was the best fucking podcast.